this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to make 4 cards at the same time. So let's get started. They're all going to be a little bit different, but okay. I'm using Misty Moonlight, Old Olive, Evening Evergreen, Granny Apple Green, and then Tuxedo Black for the sentiment. We are using Forever Fern. I'll be using 5 of the ferns in there, and then the hello. I'm using 3 different embossing folders: hammered metal, timber, and tasteful textile. I'm not sure if this one's current, but that's what I'm using. I'm using holiday rhinestones. I have some strips of white paper to stamp my hello on. I have 5 pieces of Whisper White cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. One of them we will stamp on, the other 4 will be bases. That's what I forgot. I also have 3 pieces of colored cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, Misty Moonlight, Old Olive, and Evening Evergreen. Okay, one of these is going to get, each one is going to get ran through an embossing folder, so I think I did the Misty Moonlight and hammered metal one. Evening Evergreen went through the timber one. I didn't have that quite squared into my machine. Messed up the corner there. And then Tasteful Textile is going to be for the Old Olive. So I'm going to go ahead, let me finish showing you what else I'm going to use. So I'll run those through the machine. I've got some white pieces. Now these are slightly different sizes because these ones I actually ran it through once, then I slid the die up and I ran it through again so that I get a shorter pieces for this one and this one and this one. So those are all different sizes, but I'm going to go ahead and try it with just the whole size so that you don't have to do that. So this is the 5th from the largest of the stitched rectangles. This is the 7th from the largest stitched rectangle, and this is that little one that's all lonesome by itself. I've already cut them out of white. Okay, sorry about that. So I went ahead and ran all these through my die cut machine, embossing. Okay, put those aside. I'm going to put these aside for a moment. We're going to put these aside for a moment, and we're going to bring this in. The one piece that we put aside to stamp on, and we're going to go ahead and stamp it. So I'm going to start with this one, Misty Moonlight. I'm going to turn this way. Like that up. I'm just going to start stamping. We're going to basically make our own paper. There's no right or wrong here. Just stamping. Okay, put that one aside. Now let's come in Oh, before I put it aside, let's go ahead and stamp it on one of these pieces. Let's see which one to. This one of these. Bring this in. Go ahead and stamp it on that as well. Make sure it's inked up well for that. Perfect. Okay. Okay. And next we're going to come in with, let's do this one next. An evening evergreen. We're just going to go between some of these spaces. It's okay if stuff overlaps. Over here. Okay, now we need to do one of these. And let's do this one. Okay. Okay, now old olive. And this little one. I'm going to fill in some of these spaces. It looks pretty good. I think I need one more over here. Okay, and then I'm going to do that little tiny one. Alright, and the last leaf is going to be this big one. We're going to use Granny Apple Green. Now my Granny Apple Green pad needs re-inked, so it's kind of light. So you might want to stamp off. But I'm just going to see where there's lots of white space. I'm just going to go in and add some color in there. It's going to kind of go to the background because it's a lighter color. One over here. I think that's good. Okay. Now you could be done with that. At that. But I came in, not sure I need it on this one, but with the Speckles from that same stamp set and the Misty Moonlight. And any place there was a lot of white space, I just did some of these Speckles. And sometimes you think you're ruining it, but it comes out really cool when you cut it apart especially. Okay, so basically we're making our own designer series paper. There's one more spot over here I need to... Okay. I'm going to take these stamps and get them off my workstation so I don't make a mess with them. Alright, so now... Oh, I forgot to stamp this one. the apple. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiments, just so that we have them. And this one I stamped directly on it. Let's see if I can do that well. Very nice. The rest of them I stamped on a flag. Do this one right in the center. So I did one at each end and one in the center. I think it's just a coincidence, but okay. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this one as well, in case I decide I want to use it. Okay. Now, the next step is to bring in all those pieces. So we've got this piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we've got 3 pieces of designer series paper, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to cut them all the same way. We're going to first cut them at 2 1/2 inches. So let's bring in a trimmer. I'm going to use one of the guillotines just because it fits in my space and it cuts well. I'm going to try and do them all 4 at once. Lift it up. And I'm going at 2 1/2 inches. Hold it down well. Yeah, it's not going to cut all 4 at once. I didn't think it would, but it was worth a try. Okay, we'll do 2 at once. 2 1/2 inches. I think last time it did, but they weren't embossed yet. I cut them and then I embossed them. I think it's easier to do it this way. Okay, so we'll keep those in the appropriate piles. Okay, so now on the 2 1/2 inch one, we're now going to cut it at 3 1/2 inches. Stampin' Up trimmer would do well for this too. I just prefer a guillotine. I'm going to keep those in a pile. Okay, and 3 1/2 inch, or yeah, 3 1/2 inches. Okay, now our other ones, we're going to cut in half at 2 3/4. Two and 3/4. Two and 3/4. Okay. going to take our piles. That's how they need to go on the cards. And the first one, we're going to take the top one and we're going to shuffle it to the back. It's called stack and shuffle. Okay, the next one, we're going to take the top two and shuffle them to the back. The next one, we're going to take the top three, shuffle them to the back. I saw this on somebody else's, and this one we'll leave alone. Okay, and we're going to bring in our 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch pieces. Let's set these piles up here so I can, whoops, I want you to still be able to see them, but I need to be able to see these two. I don't know if you're going to be able to, but okay. So now I'm going to take the top ones from and put them on the first card. Put them in the positions that they're in. And the next one, we're going to again take the top ones. This way you get one of each piece on every card. Okay, and then this one's left. Alright, so now we're going to glue these down to our card bases, or to these bases. I'm using Tombow because it gives me that wiggle room, so if it's not exactly where I want it right away, I can slide it a little bit. And I'm going to line this up with the edge of the cards. First piece. Now this one I'm going to butt up against the other one. Actually, line it up against. I want to try to make sure that these line up. Then I'm going to go around and trim the edges afterwards. Need it to move over just a hair more. Yep, that's all right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of these, and then I will be right back. Okay, I've got those all glued down now. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim off like a 1/16 of an inch on all 4 sides of all of these. And the reason I'm doing that is because, as you can see, like with this one, I didn't get that perfectly square. It just makes it look a little bit neater, and then it gives a little bit of border on the edge of our card front once we glue it on. So I'm just going to go and about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Scooch it in about a 1/16. So it's going to be about 1/8 of an inch all the way smaller than the card front. So it'll have a 1/16 of an inch frame around it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that on the rest of these, and I will be right back. Okay, I've got my pieces trimmed down, all 4 of them. I've got my card bases. I'm going to go ahead and mount these to the front of my card bases. Now you could have probably done it right on the front of the card. I just wanted to be able to make that edges neat by trimming it off. I don't like it when it's a little cattywampus, and no matter how hard I try, it always gets a little cattywampus. Okay, so now these are just going to have that little tiny bit, that 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. Make sure I got my card going the right way. You could turn these if you wanted so they're different orientations. But I'm just doing them all the same orientation. It would make it look even different, or more different than it's, even though it's the same layout, it's the same card. Look how different they look. Should have probably used evening evergreen for my hello instead of black, but whoops, there we go. Alright, now I'm going to bring in these. I'm going to go ahead and put dimensionals on the back of them all. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Basically, I'm doing it somewhat in the center here. Depends on the card. And that one I'm going to sit down right there. Okay, this little tiny one. I want it in the center, but I want it a little bit more up, a little more up at the top. Okay. One more. Okay, now we're going to bring in our hellos and my paper snips, and I'm going to cut a little flag in the end. You could just cut it straight across. Let's see. Do I want to do it like that? Do I want it more? Let's see. How did I do that one? Got a flag at each end, I guess. Might need to cut it shorter. I don't. Whatever, however you want to do it. It doesn't look too bad. I think I want it a little shorter though. I'm going to cut it shorter on each end. Okay, then I'm going to bring in dimensionals. I'm going to put a dimensional on each end. Try not to let it show on the front. A little bit of wet glue on the middle. Figure out where I want it. Okay, there's that one. This one, I want to cut it about here. Again, put the dimensionals at the two ends. A little bit of wet glue in the center. Come up to the edge of the card and clip that off. And turn it over. I like it better from the... There we go. Okay, and this one. Just cut a short... like the ends. And I don't think this one needs any dimensionals. Put glue on it. Hover over that. Stick it down. Okay. Now for finishing touches, we're going to come in with the holiday rhinestones. Oh, I had this extra one in case I decided I wanted to put a strip on there, but I don't think I do. I think I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to come in with my take your pick tool. Where is it? There it is. Okay. This one, I took a large green gem and I put it here. I took a small green gem, put it next to it, and another small green gem up here. That's that triangle. So that card is done. For this card, I took one small one on each end of this banner. You could use the blue ones. That would be really pretty with this too. And this one, I took a large one, and then a medium one, and then a small one down at this end. Okay, and then for this one, I took a medium one and a small one, and then another small one down at this end. Okay, so there you go. We've got 4 cards made all at the same time. Here's the ones we just made together. Here are the 4 that I did previously. Pick it up. And they're all different. Each one of them is a little different. So you have a whole collection of cards you can put together in a kit or in a box You can change the sentiments, you can change the colors, whatever you'd like to do. It's just a fun technique. Well, thank you for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.